Hey guys, Teeble here. Today I got a game in the Kuma for it. It's a Tier 3 Japanese Cruiser. It's on the map Trident. Domination mode game. Before I get rolling, I'd like to just ask you guys one more time. I do have the link in the description for that torpedo contest. You guys did a great job out of the gate and put me in a comfortable lead in first. The guy in second's making a last minute push. The contest ends tomorrow. So if you haven't voted, the link is in the description. If you click on it, you click on my name twice. It takes 10 seconds. I would very much appreciate it. And thank you very much to everyone who's taken the time. I really appreciate that. It's going to help the channel out if we can win that contest. So thank you very much. Now, taking a look at this Kuma here. I don't play a lot of Tier 3. I do want to get a video of each ship, Tier 3 and up those. So I was playing a couple Tier 3 games tonight. When I do play this ship, I just like to play it like the other Japanese cruisers. They tend to do well on the move. If you can find positions where you're able to fire and cover without being detected, of course you want to utilize those anytime they arise, but in general these ships are better if they're moving really quickly and if you spec them out for maneuverability. Now HE is going to be your primary armament on Japanese cruisers in general, Kuma as well. If you do have opportunities to fire AP against broadside cruisers though, don't hesitate to switch your shell selection and aim for those citadels. Now if you guys watched the stream, we did run I was playing with Bismarck and Dragos and we ran a 3 Arkansas ship division. It's a very strong ship for Tier 3, so you do need to respect that ship whenever you see it, and if you have the opportunity to kill it, do not hesitate to do so. Now as Karlsruhe, you see we switched to the AP as firing or maneuvering full broadside to us. Now with these German cruisers, they tend to be a little bit slower than the other cruisers tier for tiers, so when you're aiming at them you do want to kind of adjust your aim a little bit more inward than you would normally be used to, you know, for your quote-unquote normal cruiser shot. For instance, this Karlsruhe's speed, at least to the guy I got running him, is 27.5. compared to like a Kuma's 35.5 and a Phoenix's 35.4, so that's actually quite a bit slower. So, and it tends to be slower down the line. It's not as dramatic as that, but in general, that's been something that took me a little bit of time to get used to, shooting at these German cruisers. They are a little bit slower, so keep that in mind. Now here we do have a Clemson. He's pushing forward quite aggressively, and we're gonna punish him for that. I did want to point out on these cruisers, you know, you could say it's kind of a slow start. I'm just kind of sailing back and forth here, but I think the tendency a lot of people have on cruisers is to try and assert their mark on the game a little bit too quick. Cruisers definitely are a ship that gains strength as the match goes on. I would say cruisers and destroyers do, and battleships kind of lose importance as the match goes on. That's just my own philosophical thought. You might disagree with me, but cruisers I say that for because the less ships on the enemy team, the less angles that you potentially could be shot at, and of course cruisers are very susceptible to either being one shot or taking massive damage from randomly angled, or ships from random angles. So, you know, don't feel like you need to rush into the action when you're playing cruisers. I'm not saying sit back at the back of the map doing nothing, but you know, don't be overly aggressive in the opening moves. Was fairly catastrophic. See, I'm well angled against this Phoenix, who's not a very strong threat against me. The Arkansas is a very strong threat. I should have been more steeply angled towards him. I would say I'm pretty much perfectly angled against the Phoenix, but I'm kind of ignoring that Arkansas, and he definitely makes me pay there with roughly, you know, I'm down to half health now, so, you know, the tendency, or it's very easy to kind of, the guy you're shooting at, that's who I'm angled at, but you always want to keep it in the back of your mind, who's the primary threat to me at any given moment, and angle towards them. Even though it'd be harder for me to shoot at this Phoenix if I was angled towards the Arkansas, that's fine. Even if I can only fire the rear guns, that's still preferable than taking severe shots from the Arkansas. So a bit of a mistake there, but luckily we continue on in this match. Now keep in mind these ships do have torpedoes. The range on these particular ones are 7 kilometers, so not as long range as you'll find in a lot of the Japanese cruisers, but for a tier 3 ship, that's not a bad range. It's actually the longest except for the Iwaki out of the cruisers that we currently have, so in terms of the commonly available ships, it does have the longest range. And of course, you know, Japanese torpedoes in general tend to be very nice. Now, even if you don't hit the torpedoes, what happens is when they become aware of the torpedoes, they'll turn away from them, and that's going to present you easier shots or potentially broadside shots that you can hit with AP. So the more you can keep those torpedoes coming in the water, it's just going to naturally bring about opportunities for you. So don't sleep on them. Now, this Arkansas, as I've talked about, it's what I would consider probably the strongest ship in this match. So I notice here I have an opportunity to eliminate him. One thing I don't talk about enough that I should talk about more is on cruisers that have torpedoes, you do want to use the indicator as a read on their direction and speed. I talk about that a lot with destroyers just because they're more involved with the torpedoes, but any cruiser that has the torpedoes, it's a built-in advantage. So you can see here he was stopped, but now he's starting to back up because the indicator's moving to the left of his ship. So initially I was inclined to go to the right of that island. I want to get as close to this guy as I can and just finish him off with torpedoes. That's my goal. But because he's backing up now, I'm going to get in as tight as I can to this island and attempt to torpedo him at close range before he's able to react. Speaking of that torpedo contest video, that's one of the ones I talked about, was using the ship's momentum. So when he's backing up, it's going to be hard for him to stop backing up and then move forward. So it's a nice play you always want to look for when you're attempting a close range torpedo shot. Now again, we're checking the indicator again, and you can see it's a fair amount. That's probably about as far back as it can go. Now he has checked the map, he is angled in a little bit, but there is quite a bit of separation between where the ship actually is and where the indicator is on the screen. So I know he's backing up about as fast as he can go here. And again, we're just going to hug this island, get around. He doesn't have a plane on the Arkansas. So until I come around that corner, he's not going to know about me. And he has been trading shots with someone else, so his attention is somewhere else. You can see he's exchanging fire with that ship downrange. Now, one thing that happens once those secondaries start going off, and the secondaries in the Arkansas are very nice, that's kind of a built-in alarm system. So I'm going to put one salvo below. I'm going to hold on to the next one. I'm assuming he's a good player and he's going to move forward, and you can see the indicator does progressively move to the right. So the first shot, well, we do hit him with that. Had we launched both on the indicator, we would have missed. But because we adjusted our aim, he gone. So well executed torpedo play there. Just in terms of stalking him, moving close to that island, keeping an eye on what he was doing by using that indicator, getting in close and firing behind him and then more towards the front of his ship. So I thought that was a pretty good torpedo play there. So taking a look at the match now, they have a cap secured. They have one that just added there, so they have 2 caps. We don't have any at this point. While we did do a good job of clearing out our eastern side of the map, our team is down a ship, and we are losing points rapidly. So goal number 1, we need to secure C, and then see what we can do to stem the bleeding. Now the Karlsruhe broadside target, I'm going to clear my guns of the HE, hit them, and then immediately switch to the AP, and we're going to continue to pelt them with this as long as the opportunity exists. And again, you can see I might be aiming just a tad in front of him. You know, again, it comes down to the ship being particularly slow compared to the other ships in the tier, and I don't have a massive familiarity with these tier 3 ships just because I don't tend to play them as much. But in general, to reiterate the point earlier, you know, just draw your lead in a little bit. Now here we do have the Akasa. He's obviously going to be my primary focus as long as I have him available as a target destroyers, again, like we talked about earlier, they're definitely gaining power with every minute that goes on. So I'm going to take shots, but because the island moves in between us, the shots disappear. So we're going to get these torpedoes in, and the Karlsruhe, again, still broadside to me, so we're going to switch back to AP and attempt to blap him out as quickly as possible. And you'll see me, if you're looking at the diagram in the bottom, I'm turning away into a kiting formation. That's going to angle me against his incoming shots. He's still able to do a fair amount of damage, but had we been fully broadside, that could have been the end of the game. So we are able to put some damage into him, hit him with the torpedo, immediately switch back to HE for the Acosta and attempt to remove him from the game. We do have torpedoes now. You always want to judge, you want to make a quick assessment with the torpedoes. I read them, noticing that if I continued forward with a slight turn to the left, I'd be able to dodge those. So dodging torpedoes is quite difficult, but comes with experience, and you just need to make a very quick snap judgment. Now this Iron Duke, obviously we secured the Kraken, but the Iron Duke, you know, he had a robust amount of health when we first encountered him. So I'm just trying to create distance from him and set fires. He did use his damage con on the first one, but if I can set another fire here, that would be preferable, but unfortunately he's able to blap me out. But we do score a shot with the torpedoes, so because he used that damage con on that initial fire, he's going to have a full minute's duration on this. And looking at his health here, he may or may not die from that flood on his own, but because we do have supporting fire from our teammates, we actually do end up finishing with about 101k damage or so and getting the kill on the Iron Duke for the 6th kill. So that was a pretty good game for Tier 3, I thought. Unfortunately, we did end up losing the match, which was unfortunate, but we did put ourselves down significantly on the scoreboard just by being down a cap, so that's an inherent disadvantage that we had to deal with. But all in all, pretty good game. I thought that's a pretty good representation of how I'd recommend playing the Kuma. So again, I guess this is the last time I'm ever going to ask you, but if you could please vote for that torpedo contest video, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Scharnhorst is out now. I'm going to get that ship, and we'll be doing a review tomorrow. So if you're on the fence about whether you want to buy that or not, stay tuned for that. Barring a catastrophe, I'll have something up tomorrow for you on that one. If you did like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions for me, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.